The doctor placed a folder on his desk, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You have 6 months. 6 months." That's all it took to shatter the illusion that hard work alone leads to success. I'd sacrificed my health, my relationships, and my authentic desires to climb a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. The worst part, I wasn't dying from disease. I was dying from choices. Choices that millions make every single day without questioning. Choices that society celebrates while they silently steal your only non-renewable resource: time. Today, I'm going to expose the 5 devastating mistakes that successful people make, mistakes that look like wisdom but lead to empty achievements and hollow victories. And I guarantee that you're making at least 3 of them right now. The clock was ticking loudly, each second marking another moment lost forever. That's what I noticed most in the hospital waiting room as the doctor approached with my test results. In that moment, that crystallized fragment of time, everything changed. The priorities I had set, the goals I had been chasing, the endless to-do lists that had consumed my days, they all evaporated like morning dew under a harsh sun. "You need to make some changes," the doctor said simply. Those 6 words rearranged my entire existence. And that's why we're here today. Because you don't need a health scare to wake up to the precious nature of your life. You don't need to face mortality to recognize the mistakes that are silently stealing your potential, your happiness, and your future. The room falls silent when someone speaks truth that resonates with the soul. And today I want to speak directly to your soul about the 5 critical mistakes that will devastate your life if left unchecked. These aren't small errors or minor setbacks. These are the fundamental, life-altering mistakes that keep good people trapped in mediocrity, that transform potential into regret, and that turn dreams into what might have been. The most dangerous part, most people make these mistakes without ever realizing it until it's too late. But not you. Not after today. Mistakes. Living someone else's life. Have you ever stopped to question whose life you're actually living? The first devastating mistake people make is surrendering the pen that writes their life story. They hand it over to parents, partners, peers, society, or even the faceless masses on social media who neither know nor truly care about their deepest desires. I met a man once, let's call him Robert, who spent 30 years climbing the corporate ladder at a prestigious accounting firm. He had the corner office, the impressive title, the luxury car. By all external measures, he had succeeded. When I asked him about his greatest achievement, he fell silent, his eyes drifting to the horizon. I was supposed to play music. He finally said, "Since I was 7 years old, I knew it, I felt it. But my father said musicians starve, so I became an accountant instead." "And are you happy?" I asked. His answer was devastating in its simplicity. "I'm successful." Notice he didn't answer my question. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. How many of you right now are living a script that someone else wrote for you? How many of you have buried your authentic desires so deeply that you can barely remember what truly lights you up inside? The tragedy isn't just that you miss your calling. The real tragedy is that the world misses your contribution. The unique gift that only you can give remains unwrapped, unshared, unknown. Every time you say yes to someone else's expectation at the cost of your own truth, you're selling your life at a discount. Every time you shrink to make others comfortable, you're committing an act of self-betrayal. One woman approached me after a seminar, tears streaming down her face. "I've spent my entire life being who my mother wanted me to be," she said, "and now at 52, I don't even know who I am anymore." This isn't about reckless abandonment of responsibility. This is about the profound courage to author your own life. Ask yourself, if nobody told you what success looks like, what would you be doing? If you didn't fear judgment, what changes would you make? If you were economically independent, how would you spend your days? Those answers aren't trivial. They're the map to your authentic life. The world doesn't need another pale imitation of someone else. The world needs your unique voice, your specific perspective, your authentic contribution. Living someone else's life is like wearing shoes that don't fit. You can force them on, you can limp along in pain, but you'll never run with the speed and grace that is your birthright. Right now, in this moment, make a promise to yourself. Promise that from this day forward, you will reclaim the authorship of your life. You will write your story not from fear or obligation, but from the truth of who you are and what matters most to you. Because here's the secret they don't tell you. Living authentically isn't just better for your soul. It's actually the most practical path to real success. When you align with your genuine talents and passions, you access a reservoir of energy, creativity, and perseverance that the half-hearted can only dream about. The question isn't whether you can afford to live authentically. The question is, how much more can you afford to lose by not doing so? Mistake T2. Postponing your life while waiting for perfect conditions. I'll start when I'll be happy after. I'll lie fully once. These are the most dangerous phrases in the human language. They create the illusion that life is something that happens later after certain conditions are met, rather than something happening right now in this very moment. How many people do you know who are waiting to live? Waiting until they get the promotion, waiting until they lose the weight, waiting until they find the partner, waiting until the kids are grown, waiting until retirement. Life isn't a waiting room. It's happening now, whether you choose to fully participate or not. I remember speaking with a woman who had spent 10 years, a full decade of her precious life, postponing a business idea because she was waiting for the right time. She wanted to launch an educational platform for children, but there was always a reason to delay. The economy wasn't right. The technology wasn't perfect. Her skills needed more development. When I asked her what would happen if she died next week, her face transformed with the sudden recognition of time's unforgiving nature. The perfect conditions are a mirage that keeps retreating as you approach. They don't exist. They never have. Every great achievement in human history happened despite imperfect conditions. Think about this. If you wait until you're not afraid to begin, you'll be waiting forever. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. The most successful people in the world aren't those who waited for perfect conditions. They're the ones who started anyway, who figured it out as they went, who understood that imperfect action trumps perfect planning every single time. Are you postponing joy until some future date when all your ducks are in a row? Are you delaying your dreams because the timing isn't right? Let me tell you something that will shock you. There has never been a worse time than right now to postpone your life. The pace of change has never been faster. The future has never been less predictable. The guarantees have never been fewer. One man approached me after a seminar and said, "I've been saving all my best bottles of wine for a special occasion." I looked him in the eye and said, "Being alive today is the special occasion." He wrote to me 6 months later to say he'd shared those bottles with loved ones, creating memories that no future could guarantee. The cost of waiting isn't just the time lost. It's the compounding interest of experience, learning, and joy that never materializes. It's the relationships not deepened, the skills not mastered, the impact not made. When you're on your deathbed, you won't regret the things you tried and failed at. You'll regret the things you never tried at all because you were waiting for some mythical, perfect moment. Perfect is the enemy of done. Perfect is the adversary of growth. Perfect is the assassin of potential. Start now. Start messy. Start small. Start with what you have, where you are, but for the love of everything you hold dear, start. Because here's the truth. The conditions will never be perfect, but your time is always precious. And it's running out with every heartbeat. Mistake that. Neglecting your health until it becomes your primary focus. There's a cruel irony in how humans approach health. We ignore it while we have it, then fixate on it once it's gone. The third devastating mistake people make is treating their body like an inexhaustible resource, rather than the precious vehicle it truly is. I've interviewed countless high achievers who sacrifice sleep, proper nutrition, exercise, and stress management on the altar of success. They traded their health for wealth, only to later spend their wealth trying to buy back their health. One top executive told me, "I spent 20 years working so hard I didn't have time to exercise. Now I'll spend the next 20 with enough money for the best doctors, but not enough health to enjoy what I've earned." Your body keeps an accurate accounting system. Every all-nighter, every meal skipped or eaten in haste, every stress response left unmanaged every day without movement. These aren't costs you can defer indefinitely. They compound silently and invisibly until the bill comes due. And when that bill arrives, it doesn't matter how important your meeting is or how close you are to your goal. It demands payment in full. Think about this. What good is a successful career if you're too exhausted to be present with your loved ones? What value is financial abundance if chronic pain prevents you from enjoying simple pleasures? What's the point of achieving every external marker of success if anxiety and depression color your experience of life? Health isn't just the absence of illness, it's the presence of energy, clarity, and vitality. It's the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. I'm not suggesting you need to become a fitness enthusiast or nutrition expert. I'm saying that neglecting the basics, adequate sleep, reasonable nutrition, regular movement, stress recovery, is a mistake you cannot afford to make. There was a brilliant scientist who routinely slept 4 hours a night, fueled by caffeine and determination. When asked about this pattern, he proudly proclaimed, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." The tragic irony was that dead came much sooner than he anticipated. At just 51, leaving groundbreaking work unfinished and a family shattered. Your health is not negotiable. It's not something you sacrifice now and reclaim later. It's your most valuable asset. And like any asset, it requires consistent investment and protection. Ask yourself, are you making deposits or withdrawals from your health account? Are you treating your body like a trusted partner or an adversary to be overcome? Are you listening to its signals or drowning them out? The most insidious part of this mistake is how it creeps in gradually. Nobody plans to neglect their health. It happens one missed workout, one late night, one stress-filled day at a time, until suddenly what was once an occasional compromise becomes your normal operating state. Remember this, your future self is counting on the decisions your present self makes. Every choice that honors your health is a gift to the person you'll be in 5, 10, 20 years. And it's never too late to start. The human body has an extraordinary capacity for restoration when given the right conditions. But don't wait until restoration is your only option. Maintenance is always easier than repair. Mistake 4, underestimating the compounding power of small decisions. Life's major outcomes are rarely the result of single dramatic choices. They're almost always the product of thousands of tiny decisions that accumulate over time, building momentum in one direction or another. The fourth devastating mistake is failing to respect the awesome power of compound decisions, both positive and negative. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a day, but drastically underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistent, focused effort. Consider this: if you improve at something by just one each day, after a year you'll be 37 times better than when you started. Not 365 better, 3,700 better. That's the power of compounding. But this principle works in both directions. Negative habits and choices compound just as powerfully as positive ones. One missed workout won't make you unhealthy, but a pattern of choosing comfort over exercise, repeated hundreds of times, will dramatically impact your physical condition. One impulsive purchase won't destroy your finances, but a habit of spending just slightly more than you earn, sustained over years, will create financial quicksand that can take decades to escape. One moment of choosing to react with anger won't ruin your relationship, but a consistent pattern of emotional reactivity will erode trust and intimacy until there's nothing left to save. I worked with a man who couldn't understand why he was constantly exhausted, despite getting enough sleep. When we tracked his actual sleep patterns, we discovered he was consistently going to bed 30 minutes later than intended. Just 30 minutes, seemingly inconsequential in isolation, but multiplied across weeks and months, he had accumulated a massive sleep debt that was affecting every aspect of his life. Small decisions don't feel significant in the moment. That's what makes them so dangerous. And so, pack the coffee you choose to drink or skip, the 5 minutes you spend reading or scrolling, the kind or harsh word you offer to your partner, the small amount you save or spend impulsively, the moment of movement you incorporate or avoid. None of these choices will make headlines in your life story, but collectively they are writing that story with more influence than the occasional big decisions that capture your attention. What small choices are you making daily that will compound into your future reality? What tiny actions or inactions repeated hundreds of times are quietly determining your health, relationships, financial security, and fulfillment? Understanding compound decisions transforms how you approach change. You stop expecting overnight transformations and start trusting the process of consistent, small improvements. You recognize that missing one day isn't failure, but abandoning consistency is. One of the most successful entrepreneurs I've ever met attributed his achievement not to grand vision or extraordinary talent, but to the simple practice of doing 5 specific high-value activities every single day, regardless of motivation or circumstance. "Does Daily 5 made me who I am," he said, "not the big risks everyone talks about. The most reliable path to changing your life isn't through dramatic upheaval. It's through thoughtful, consistent shifts in your daily patterns. Revolution happens through evolution, one small choice at a time." The decisions that shape your life are rarely the ones that feel momentous. They're the quiet, everyday choices that barely register as decisions at all, respect their power, harness their potential. Your future is being built on their foundation. Mistake 5. Choosing comfort over growth. The fifth and perhaps most seductive mistake people make is consistently choosing comfort over growth. This error is particularly dangerous because it feels so right in the moment. Your brain is biologically wired to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. This was an excellent survival strategy in prehistoric times. Today, it's a recipe for stagnation. Growth and comfort are mutually exclusive. You simply cannot become more without experiencing the discomfort of stretching beyond your current capabilities, beliefs, and identity. I've counseled thousands of individuals over the years, and I've never met a single person who achieved something meaningful without passing through the gateway of discomfort. The musician endures thousands of hours of frustrating practice. The entrepreneur weathers repeated rejection and failure. The athlete pushes through physical pain and mental barriers. The leader learns to have difficult conversations rather than avoid them. These aren't unfortunate side effects of the path to excellence. They are the path. One woman I worked with had spent decades in the same position at her company. When asked why she never pursued advancement despite her obvious capabilities, she said, "I know how to do this job perfectly. Why would I trade that for something I might fail at?" The cost of her comfort, a lifetime of untapped potential, and the slow death of diminishing challenge. Look at your own life with unflinching honesty. Where are you choosing the familiar over the possible? Where are you settling for good enough because excellent requires disruption? Where are you avoiding difficult conversations, delaying ambitious projects, or declining opportunities that frighten you? Comfort is insidious because it masquerades as self-care or wisdom. "I deserve to relax" becomes the justification for avoiding the very actions that would bring deeper fulfillment. "I'm being realistic" becomes code for "I'm afraid to try." The most painful realization is that choosing comfort doesn't even deliver what it promises. It provides temporary relief at the cost of lasting regret. The comfort zone isn't comfortable at all. It's a slow, soul-crushing descent into mediocrity and wasted potential. One of the most successful investors in the world shared a profound insight. "With me, the highest returning investment isn't stocks or real estate," he said. "It's investing in situations that make you uncomfortable but can't actually harm you." Think about that. The situations that make you uncomfortable but can't actually harm you are precisely where the greatest growth happens. The speech you're terrified to give, the conversation you're avoiding, the skill that frustrates you to learn, the social situation that makes you anxious. These growth opportunities surround you daily, offering enormous returns on investment. Yet most people actively avoid them, choosing instead the false security of the known. What if, instead of asking, "What makes me comfortable?" you started asking, "What makes me stronger?" What if growth, not comfort, became your decision-making filter? I challenge you right now to identify 3 areas where you're choosing comfort over growth. Name them, acknowledge them, and then make a different choice. Here's the ultimate truth. Life expands or contracts in direct proportion to your willingness to step beyond what feels comfortable. Bringing it all together. The path forward, as we reflect on these 5 devastating mistakes. Living someone else's life. Postponing your life while waiting for perfect conditions. Neglecting your health until it becomes your primary focus. Underestimating the compounding power of small decisions. Choosing comfort over growth. I want you to understand something crucial. Awareness alone isn't enough. Knowledge without action is merely philosophy. What will you do with this awareness? How will you translate these insights into tangible changes in your daily choices? I want to offer you a framework for transformation that has helped thousands move from insight to action. It's simple but profoundly effective. First, choose one area. Just one where you recognize you've been making one of these mistakes. Don't try to overhaul your entire life at once. Transformation happens step by step, not through unsustainable revolution. Next, define what success looks like in specific, measurable terms. Vague intentions produce vague results. "I want to be healthier" isn't nearly as powerful as "I will walk for 30 minutes 4 times per week." Then identify the smallest possible step you can take immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Remember the power of compound decisions. The journey of transformation begins with a single, seemingly insignificant action. Create accountability by sharing your commitment with someone who will supportively hold you to it. Public commitments activate different neural pathways than private ones, dramatically increasing your likelihood of follow-through. Finally, schedule regular reflection to assess your progress and refine your approach. Transformation isn't linear. It's a continuous process of adjustment and recommitment. I've seen this framework help people reclaim authentic lives after decades of living for others. I've watched it transform chronic procrastinators into decisive action takers. I've witnessed it restore health, repair relationships, and revitalize careers. But none of that matters unless you apply it to your specific situation, your unique challenges, your particular life. Let me leave you with this. We began by talking about that ticking clock in the hospital waiting room. That stark reminder that time passes whether we use it wisely or not. None of us knows how many heartbeats we have left. What we do know is that with each passing day, our potential to course correct diminishes. The time for change isn't some nebulous future moment when conditions are perfect. The time is now. You're capable of so much more than you've settled for. Your life can be so much richer than what you've experienced so far. Your impact can be so much greater than what you've created to date. But none of that will happen by accident. It will only happen through deliberate choice, consistent action, and unwavering commitment to becoming the author of your own life story. As you leave here today, I have just one question for you. If not now, the clock is ticking. What will you do with the time you have left? I believe in your capacity to transform. Now it's time for you to believe it too. The truth is, transformation isn't just possible, it's your birthright. Every human being has within them the seeds of extraordinary change. Those seeds may have been buried under years of compromise, fear, or mistaken priorities. They may have been neglected while you tended to everyone else's gardens, but they remain alive, waiting for the light of your attention and the water of your commitment. Look around this room. Every person here has made these mistakes. Every person here has faltered. But what separates those who live lives of quiet desperation from those who live lives of passionate fulfillment isn't the absence of mistakes. It's the courage to correct course once the mistake becomes clear. That courage lies in you. It may have been dormant, but it has never died. It's speaking to you right now in this moment as you recognize yourself in these words. That voice that says, it's not too late for me. That feeling in your chest that whispers, there is more to my story. That energy rising through you that declares, today marks a turning point. Listen to that voice. Feel that feeling. Embrace that energy, because the person you were meant to be is still waiting for you to show up. The life you were meant to live is still possible. The contribution you were meant to make is still needed. Walk out of here today, not just with new awareness, but with renewed commitment to yourself. Not a half-hearted pledge that fades by sunset, but a soul-deep promise that becomes your North Star. You've spent enough time living underneath your potential. You spent enough time making these devastating mistakes. Starting now, right now, choose to be the author, the architect, and the active creator of your one wild and precious life. I believe in your capacity to transform with every fiber of my being. Now it's time for you to believe it too, not just with your mind, but with your daily choices, your unwavering actions, and your indomitable spirit. So where does this leave you? With awareness of 5 devastating mistakes, yes. But more importantly, with a roadmap for correction and a glimpse of what's possible on the other side of transformation. Here's what I want you to understand. The journey I've described isn't exceptional. It's available to anyone willing to wake up without requiring a crisis to sound the alarm. It's available to you right now, regardless of your past choices, current circumstances, or how long you've been making these mistakes. But it won't happen through knowledge alone. Information without application creates no change. Insight without action transforms nothing. So I offer you this simple but powerful framework to move from awareness to transformate. First, identify which of these 5 mistakes resonates most deeply as a pattern in your life. Don't try to tackle everything at once. Transformation happens through focused commitment, not scattered attention. Second, envision what correction looks like for you, specifically and concretely, not vague aspirations, but clear images of how your daily life would look different if this pattern were transformed. Third, determine one small shift you can implement immediately, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are better, today. Now, something so simple that it bypasses resistance, so concrete that it leaves no room for procrastination. Fourth, establish accountability. Share your commitment with someone who will support your transformation with both compassion and challenge. Make your intention visible, rather than keeping it private where it's easier to abandon. Fifth, create a system for consistent review and recommitment. Transformation isn't a one-time decision. It's a practice of continuous choice. Schedule regular reflection points to assess progress, refine approach, and renew commitment. Finally, remember that transformation isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about creating space for something better to emerge. As you correct these devastating patterns, be attentive to what wants to grow in the fertile ground you're creating. Thank you.